All right, everybody, we're getting set up here on YouTube and here on Zoom. If you happen to be tuning in on YouTube at 7 o'clock on the 26th of July, God bless you. We'd love to see you over here on the Zoom. We're on an exclusive live Zoom call. There's a link in the chat. You can click on that link and join us. And after the lesson, we talk about all the things we've discovered, share personal stories, see how we can apply this into our life and what that looks like individually. Love to hear your wisdom, your feedback. So join me over here on Zoom. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Blake Anderson, and welcome back to Increase. God bless you. I'm just honored that you would be here with me tonight, whether you're watching live on Zoom or on YouTube, or you're seeing this recording on YouTube. I'm just honored and thrilled. I just get really fired up and excited about helping people move forward in their life. And I think about the journey that God's had me on as he taught me how to increase, taught me how to succeed, taught me how to put my heart in a direction and put my hands to the plow. And it's amazing how much he wants you to thrive in your purpose, how much he wants to increase you, the links he'll go to make that happen for you, and the things that he wants you to learn so that you can have this great life that he created you for. So we've been studying the keys to prosper. There's 7 keys to prosper. So if you're watching this and you have not learned about all the keys to prosper, go back into YouTube and I suggest that you watch them all. But there's 7 keys to prosper, and we've just finished the 7th one last week with thought. And you'll see the list behind me. First key is thanks. It's a key of gratitude. Second key is order. Third key is honor. Then we have yoked, tithe, desire, and thought. And as we've journeyed through, you realize how perfectly they fit together, and their order is perfect as well. And they are individual keys that open individual things in your life, and they're individual areas that you want to focus on and really try to get the most out of. But ultimately, when you live a life of success and you live a life where you prosper and you increase, it's a life lived with these keys working in harmony in your life, and you're really working them in this foundational order in this direction. And so what I want to really get into tonight is how we live this out, how we walk it out. But I want to think about it from the perspective of, what do you do when the doors won't open? Because undoubtedly, even if you're doing everything right and you know the things that you need to do, things happen in your life where it feels like the doors are closed and you don't know where to go next. And it can be a frustrating thing. And I'm here to encourage you. This is a way to think about how you live these keys out all together. And what do you do when you run up against a closed door, especially one that you know is meant for you and should open for you? And so we're going to dig into that, and it's really going to show us how to put these keys to work in our lives on a daily basis, because you also might have areas of your life that everything is moving and flowing well and you're excited about, and you run into closed doors in other areas of your life. Now, ultimately, everything is one, and God is one, and he wants you to live an integrated, integral life where it's all really moving, but that's easier said than done. So let's dig in. I've really come up with 3 reasons, and I don't want to say that it's collectively exhaustive, but 3 reasons why the doors won't open. And so let's really just kind of point them out, what those reasons are. We'll describe them a little bit, and then I want to get into action steps, because if you are experiencing one of these, the doors being closed for one of these reasons, then I want to give you the action steps so you can start doing something about it now. You can start turning the right keys in the right doors and get things moving in your life. So if you got a door that doesn't seem to be opening for you, sometimes you see the label over it, it's finances or it's job or it's relationships. And sometimes stuff just feels off, and it feels like it's not quite moving correctly. If something feels like it's not opening, the first reason that maybe a door isn't opening for you, that things aren't moving forward in your life, that you're not increasing, is first, you might be out of position. You might be out of position. You might be pointed in the wrong direction. You see, God wants you in a specific place. The Bible says that in his heart, a man devised his way, but it's the Lord who establishes his steps. You see, he's got a path laid out for you that leads you to your destiny. He's got a plan for your life. He wants to take you to expected end, and he created you for a purpose, but sometimes it feels like we're not progressing in our purpose. And so if that's happening with you, there's a chance that you're out of position. And you really can't expect to receive the blessing of God if you're not in the place that he's pouring out, right? Has it ever felt like that? You felt like, I think I'm just not where I need to be, right? So you got to be in position for the door to open. I've described this before. Oftentimes, the doors in our life feel like the automatic doors when you're going to the grocery store, okay? Visualize what this means for a second. You're going to the grocery store. You pull into the parking lot and you look over at the building and the doors are closed, right? Now, if you stayed in your car waiting for those doors to open and no one else was coming in or out, you might be sitting there a while, right? Because what makes those doors open? Those doors are open automatically when you get close to them. So if you were new to this and you hadn't experienced automatic doors before, and you got out of your vehicle and you started walking, those doors still wouldn't open, and you'd get closer and they're not open, and you get closer and they're not open. And if you were parked at the back of the parking lot expecting this door to be open for you because you knew the grocery store was open at 5 p.m. when you got there, if you've never experienced automatic doors, you might stop where you are and turn around and go home. But that'd be a mistake, wouldn't it? Yeah, because when does the door open? The door opens when you get close to it. So this is really what I'm saying. There's a chance that the door's not opening for you because you're not in the right position for the door to open. Maybe you need to walk a little closer to it, or maybe you're further away walking in the wrong direction, expecting the door that's over here to open for you over here. So if you want the door to open, you've got to be in the right position. So if something isn't opening for you and you don't experience the increase that you're expecting, you might be out of position. Okay, that's the first thing. There's a second reason that maybe the door's not opening. Maybe there's a door stop. Maybe you've got a door stop against that door and it can't open. You see, oftentimes we use door stops to keep doors open. But what would happen if you put a door stop against a closed door? Well, it wouldn't open either. So door stop keeps a door from moving. Or maybe what if you were expecting someone to come make a delivery to you and they're on the other side of the door knocking, and you're wanting them to come in, but you've got your foot against the door on the inside. Could that person come in to deliver the package? Right. So maybe you've got a door stop that's keeping your door from open. So Blake, you're talking in metaphors. Break it down for me. Well, here's a couple door stops that you might be experiencing in your life. The first door stop is the door stop of unbelief. The door stop of unbelief. See, you might be wanting something that you don't believe that you can have. Well, there's a door stop. You see, you might be asking God for something that he so longs to give you, but if you don't believe that either he wants to or he can, or you're eligible for it, then that's the same as having your foot against the door. He can't give it to you. And really what we're describing is self-worth, because ultimately there's really only one thing that can prevent God's blessing coming to your life, and that is what you believe about yourself. You can be doing God's perfect will, living humbly before the Lord, trying to do your best and love others. But if you think really little of yourself, that's the same as telling God, I'm not worthy of the blessing you're trying to give me. What really stops most people from succeeding is they think too little of themselves. Let me say that again. What stops most people from succeeding is they think too little of themselves. Oftentimes people use excuses like, I must decrease so that he can increase, or, I'm just a sinner. People are finding excuses to think little of themselves. And why would anyone do that? Well, the root cause is oftentimes it's trauma, it's regret, shame. These are deep things inside of our heart that can lead us to believe that we're not worthy of the good life that God has promised us. Now, you might believe that God is able and he's all powerful. You may even believe he wants you to have a good life. But if you are living inside of a belief system that you don't deserve it, then that blessing can't get to you. The door is closed, and he may even be trying to send something to you. So that's a doorstop. Could be unbelief, believing that you're not worthy. The second doorstop that you might be experiencing. So maybe you don't have a self-worth issue. This is kind of similar, but you'll experience it a little differently. What I've experienced before, this is kind of an insidious one, and it's super frustrating. Sometimes the door is closed, but it's because we've put too much pressure on receiving the thing that we want. So we talked about the keys, and the sixth key is desire. And the reason it's 6 and not number 1, see, if you read Think and Grow Rich, great book, by the way, if you read Think and Grow Rich, desire is number 1. But when God gave me the keys, he put desire number 6. And the reason is because keys 1 through 5 really get your heart humble, supple, and postured in alignment with God's perfect will for your life, so that when you begin to want something, you're desiring something that's out of his goodwill, and your heart is in a place that can receive it. But even in so doing, we can get so obsessed and focused on what we desire that it turns into anxiety. Now, don't get me wrong, focus is important, because you're going to get what you believe for. Whatever you put your attention on is going to grow in your life. Okay. But what can happen when you desire something so bad? If there's any delay and you start to feel like you've been waiting longer than you should, then in that intense desire is this creeping feeling, in this focus on the fact that you don't have it. Okay. And what you don't realize is you start to think about the thing you want from this place that you don't have it. Remember, we shared before that it's really important to focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. But oftentimes we might think that I want to be rich, but if I start thinking of the fact that I'm poor, my thoughts aren't I want to be rich. My thoughts are I'm not rich. But really, my thoughts are, I don't want to be poor, and my attention is on being poor, or my attention is on the fact that I still lack what I want. And so that oftentimes you start to feel a pressure, an internal pressure and almost external pressure, like things are bearing down on you. And you wonder, because other things in your life might be going okay, but you feel this pressure. It's because you can't seem to get what you're after. You got your foot against the door. Okay. So we're going to talk later about how to get rid of that doorstop, right? Now, there's a third reason why the door may not be open to you. And the third reason the door may not be open to you is that your character is not ready for what is on the other side. You see, you have to be an inner match for your outer opportunity. Let me say that again. You've got to be an inner match for your outer opportunity. You see, your external reality, your results in life is the product of your internal reality, because what's going on the inside is creating your reality on the outside, right? Spiritual things create natural things. Okay. The Bible says that things that are seen are created from things that are not seen. All right. So you may be wanting something that's really good, but you may not be a match for it yet. You may not be the person ready for it. And I'm not trying to say that you're not worthy of it in a self-worth kind of way. But what I'm saying is you may not have grown into the character necessary for God to give it to you, because I believe that your Heavenly Father loves you so much that he doesn't want to give you something that would be bad for you. He doesn't want your blessing to turn into a curse. Okay. So let's look at a Bible verse really quick to break this down so you understand where I'm going with this. If you turn your Bible to James chapter 1, okay, you probably know where I'm going with this. James chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 2 through 4. This very succinctly explains this process, and it also shows God's heart in the process. It's really important to understand what he thinks about your character and about the thing that you're asking for, so that you press into his process. James chapter 1, verse 2 says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, when you run into trials, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, and let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." Let me say that a little bit in our language. This is King James, written in the 1600s. Really, it would say, brothers and sisters, be happy when life gets hard. And here's why. Because in those tests, in those trials, they're testing your faith. They're proving your faith through the working of patience. They're making you have to be patient for the thing that you're wanting through the test and the trial. But here's the deal. Let patience work itself out completely, because when it does, you will be perfect, complete, and wanting nothing. Your character will be perfect match for the thing that you want. So what is God doing with the tests and the trials? He's preparing you to receive what you asked for. All right. These tests and trials are preparing you to receive what you're asked for. Sometimes it's just the test of waiting. Maybe life's not bad, but it just seems like you're waiting a long time. And sometimes there's car accidents or lost jobs or unexpected bills. Because here's another way to look at it. If you see it, let's look at it from the Father's perspective, right? Because the Bible says you can ask anything in Jesus' name and he'll give it to you. And the Bible says that if you ask anything according to his will, you know that he's heard you. And you know that if he's heard you, you have your request. So why don't I not seem to have it? It works like this. You have a desire that you want from God, okay? And you pray, Lord, I pray that you would bless me with a better job where I get to use my gifts and my skill sets and provide handsomely for my family. I believe a desire like that is really good and probably straight from God's heart. And I believe when God hears your prayers, though you don't maybe hear him respond, he says, that is awesome. I love that desire. I can't wait to give it to you. I'm going to start answering your prayer right now. But then normally what happens is very quickly upon praying that prayer, life starts to get really hard. And you almost think he didn't hear you. And you almost think that maybe you messed up and you shouldn't have asked in the first place. Maybe you think that you're not even worth the thing you asked for. When really, what is God doing based on James 1? He's saying this, awesome. I can't wait to give it to you. Here's what we got to do first. I got to get you ready for it. It's so awesome. It's so wonderful. It's better than you even imagine. And I want to make sure that when you get it, you have the best time with it and that it's so fulfilling. And so first things first, I got to make you strong enough to be able to handle such a big thing so that it can really be an awesome thing in your life. The hard thing is in 2023 is we don't get the email from God the way Amazon sends it when we bought something on Amazon. Instead, unexpected things start happening to us. And we often wonder why. I remember it was 2012, and I remember sitting in my house with a close friend of mine, and we were really digging into this Bible, and we were identifying all these promises, and we felt just the buzz of glory of, wow, life was so awesome, and God so wants us to have a great life. And I remember I prayed this prayer, God, I want everything you have for me, and I want to go deep with you. And the most interesting thing happened that I wasn't expecting for. Almost immediately, everything started to fall apart. I was in business for myself. The job seemed to disappear. We went on vacation for a week, And it was like someone stole $10,000 from me while on vacation. My bank called and said, we can't clear these checks that you've just written for your payroll. I mean, everything seemed to fall apart. And I didn't understand it because it was really my first experience from it. And I know now, based on where God took me through that journey, was he wanted to give me what I asked for. And the only way he could give that to me, the full life that I asked for, is that he had to prepare my character for it. And the way that he was going to prepare my character for it was he was going to allow me to go through struggles that would get me to use and grow my muscles. Because like working out in a gym, if I want my muscles to grow, I have to lift heavy weights, which is hard, and my muscles will break actually under the weight. But what will happen is I'll repair myself and I'll be stronger. And the same is for you. So it's possible if the door's not open for you. Maybe you're not quite ready for that door, but don't be discouraged. God's likely got you on the process needed to make you ready for it. So I hope now you've thought about times when maybe the doors didn't seem to open, or maybe now you're thinking about certain things that you're longing for that just aren't seem to be here yet. And hopefully you've thought about which one of these three reasons might be working in your life. Are you out of position? Maybe the door could open if you could just get in the right position. Maybe is there a door stop keeping your door closed, either in your unbelief or the way you think about yourself, or maybe you've put too much pressure on the thing you're asking for? Or is it possible that your character just isn't quite ready, that you've asked for something so great and so awesome that you will have to become a better version of yourself to step into it? Well, I want to leave you with some action steps, because we started out this class really talking about how we live these keys and how can we use these keys to prosper, to open doors in our life. And I always want this class to be one where we take these spiritual principles and we learn how to apply them to get natural results. So if you have a pen and a paper, take some notes here. I don't have room on the board, but I want to give you some things that you can start doing to hopefully start to alleviate your problems and open your doors. So let's start with the first one. We'll go down our list. Maybe you're out of position. So what do? You realize, gosh, I think I might be out of position. Well, the first thing you would do is you'd start at the top of the list with the first key to prosper. Because what did we say? When we studied the key of thanks, we said gratitude. Thanks opens the door to more. And really what gratitude does is gratitude grounds you in the present moment. Okay. Oftentimes we're in our head in worry or in desire, and we're out floating around and we're not present where we are. But gratitude has a wonderful way of bringing us right to our current place, which is right where you need to be. Okay. The second thing that you would do after gratitude, and my encouragement is maybe you start making a list of all the things you're grateful for. It's amazing what happens if you go on a gratitude rant long enough or make a long enough list. No matter how bad your day is, you'll realize you're blessed, that God's done wonderful things in your life and he's got great plans for you. And no matter what things don't seem to be going right, you begin to feel his love and you're connected with him. So it's gratitude that gets us connected with God. It opens the door of our heart for more, and it gets us positioned right here in the present moment. And once you find yourself right here in the present moment of gratitude, the next thing you would do is you want to start putting your life in order with key number 2. And what that does is, we said that order makes room to receive the things that you're asking for, but order also gets you ready. It addresses readiness. So if I think about, if I'm on a path and I'm on a journey in life, going from where I came from to where I'm trying to get to, any moment I might be stopped along my path, and I may have put my pack down and I may have made a snack or read a book, and then I've kind of wandered off in my thoughts and my daydreams. And when it's time to start moving forward, I've got to find myself right back to where I left everything. But then I've got to collect all my stuff, because I can't leave my spot to go forward with with everything laying on the ground. I can't leave my things behind. I might need them as I travel. So you put your life in order, right? You maybe take out the trash and you clean your house and you clean your car and you begin to put your relationships in order. And you begin to bring order into your finances, and you clear your headspace where you're in position to move forward, when you're in position to receive something new, right? So think about, are you ready to move forward in your life? Because if you have unresolved issues in relationships or on work or in your money, or maybe things are in disarray around your physical belongings in your physical space, you're not ready to move and you're not ready to receive. Okay. So you want to put your life in order. And the third thing that you want to do to get you in position is you got to make sure you're pointed in the right direction. Right. So I found if we go back to our analogy of walking on our path, I found myself back to my place. I put everything back in my pack. I got it on. I'm ready to start walking. Well, I've got to be looking in the right direction, right? I don't want to start walking in the wrong direction. And the way that we start walking in the right direction is the third key. It's honor. And honor is all about living a life that God honors. And we do that by loving God first and then beginning to love others. So we're overflowed with our love from God, and we look to see how we can love and serve others. And really what we're doing is we're looking to see how we can use our gifts, the thing that brings us the most joy to use, to really serve and bless others. And if you will start looking for how to do that, it will get you pointed in the right direction. Because for you to accomplish any goal in life, you're going to get there living out your purpose, being the fullest version of you. And you do that by looking to see, how can I love? How can I serve? Because when you give, you will receive. I want to give them my money, but I want to give them my time, and I want to give them my talent. And I'm looking out to see how I can serve and live a life that God honors. And if you'll do that, trust me, you will be looking in the right direction towards your destiny and towards the desires that you have that take you there. If you'll do those things, you'll live a life of gratitude, and you can start any moment. You put your life in order. You begin to think about how you can love God and how you can love others to the fullest and serve. Trust me, you will be back in position, and you will be ready to move, and you'll be pointed in the right direction. And don't be surprised if doors start to open. All right, let's talk about this second reason that your door is closed. And it's two parts. So address the first one. The first doorstop is the one of unbelief, and really it's the one of self-worth. What do we do about that? How can we take that doorstop out? And some of those are jammed in there tight, right? Well, I'm going to briefly touch on some things that I did a deep dive on a class we taught months ago, and it was called Success Starts Inside. Success starts inside. I'll put it in the show notes. But we need to raise our self-worth, right? We've got to raise our standard. Right? We've got to begin to see ourselves the way that God sees ourselves. And let me remind you that you're created in the image of likeness of a perfect God. Okay. Let me remind you that the Son of God, Jesus Christ, who became flesh, dwelt among us, lived a perfect life for one reason, right? For one reason. So that he could die, shed his blood on the mercy seat so that you could be forgiven and get back in right relationship with God where he intended you to be all along, so that you wouldn't have to die for your mistakes, so that you could live a full life as you, who he created you to be, an image bearer, bearing his image with everything that you do. Because Jesus said, what did he say? John 10:10, I came, why? He said, I came to what? I came that you might have life and have it abundantly. See? That's his heart. That's his desire. He came all the way here to die for one reason, that you might live a full life. You can't live a full life when you think you're not worthy of it. And God can't prosper you if you won't agree with him. But he's saying, you're awesome. You're wonderful. You have so much to offer. He might need to strip some things off of you. He might need to heal some hurts and wounds. He might have to remove some of that stinking thinking. But underneath all that is your purpose, is the you that he wants to bless. Right? So we've got to raise our standard of who we are and whether we're worth it. And there's some things that you can start doing that can help raise that standard. Because oftentimes if you're asking for something you don't have yet, chances are you don't believe yet, because Jesus said, be it unto you as your faith. So you get what you believe for, right? And at the point that your faith becomes so real, you'll have it. And so if you don't have it yet, probably your faith for that thing isn't quite there. So what can we do to raise our level of thinking, raise our level of belief inside to remove that doorstop? Well, in that class, we talked about getting exposure to next level things in our life, right? We need to expose ourselves to this next level thing that we're asking for. So you want to find ways to expose yourself to next level environments. So if you are hoping for a newer, nicer house, then maybe you need to go through some open houses for newer, nicer houses. Maybe you need to look through design magazines, right? Maybe you need to go to a nice restaurant or to a nice hotel. You've got to raise your standard by exposing yourself to a nicer environment. Trust me, that works. I told a story in that class and I'll tell it again. I remember last year, Hope and I went to the Umstead, a 5-star resort here locally in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we had never been to a resort that nice. It was a staycation for our anniversary. And we had never been exposed to something so nice. These people treated us so well and they served us so well, and everything was just immaculately clean and the food was wonderful and the service was fantastic. And we left there and our standard had been raised. We had experienced a next level environment that changed our standard of life. That has a way of changing your belief system. When you've lived inside of it and exposed yourself to it, now all of a sudden you see yourself differently. Okay. And because you've experienced it, you begin to see that you are worthy of it. Okay. You want to expose yourself to next level people. Try to get around people who are a couple steps ahead of you, maybe doing the thing that you want to start doing, maybe making the money you want to start making, or living in the houses that you want to start living. Expose yourself to next level people. And you'll see, one, they probably have some wisdom to offer, but two, they're people too, just like you. And you're probably not that much different than them. And you're probably every bit as talented as they are. But maybe the only difference is they know they're worthy of the things they have, and you're still trying to figure that out. But exposing yourself to them, and you realize, yeah, I can have nice things just like them. My life can prosper too. I have things to offer because you do. And then you want to expose yourself to next level thoughts, right? Through the environments, through the people. You want to start thinking and normalizing the thing that you're looking for. And a great way to do it is to imagine the thing that you want being true, visualize yourself living in it. We talked before in desire and thought that your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between something you've lived and something that you've imagined. And so you can normalize something by living it out. You can normalize it in your belief system by imagining it. And don't just imagine it afar off. Imagine living in it. Experience the emotions and the sights and the sounds of the thing that you want, whether it be a vacation, a house, a promotion, whatever you're imagining, whatever you're desiring next, make it real inside your heart through visualization. Okay. So you raise your standard, you're going to begin to change your self-worth. You're going to begin to alleviate that unbelief, and you're going to begin to remove a doorstop from the door, because it might be that God's ready to give you something. You just got to open the door to it. Because trust me, if you've got the door closed because of your unbelief, he's likely not going to kick it down. He's going to wait till you're ready. Okay. All right. We talked about another doorstop that could be in your way. Maybe there's too much pressure. Maybe there's too much pressure because of the thing that you want. Like I said before, you want it so bad, you start getting anxious that you don't have it. Well, remember, you don't want to spend any time being anxious about what you don't have, because you're going to likely get more of it not having it, right? You want to be thinking about the thing that you want and how wonderful it is. And so I would give you these pointers, right, to try to alleviate this pressure. First, reflect on how far you've come. right? Alleviate the pressure that you don't have it by realizing how far God has brought you and all the steps you've taken to get here. And you realize, though maybe you don't have it, you're a long way from where you started, and you've been making forward progress for a while. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some credit for all of the things that you've done to get here. And then oftentimes when you take the inventory and you see the steps you've taken, you'll realize maybe you're on the trajectory, you're on the path, and maybe you're not as far away as you thought. And you can also take the desire or the pressure off the desire with gratitude. With gratitude. I know that sounds counterintuitive. You're thinking, Blake, I don't want to take the focus off of what I want. And if I start thinking about what I have, then I won't be thinking about what I want. No, it actually works the opposite way. See, when you're grateful for what you have, right, then you're actually putting you in position to get more. You're showing God that you're trustworthy of more. And being grateful for what you have, it releases the pressure and allows you to look on what you want again, but from a place of gratitude. See, your pressure is you're looking on what you want from a place of lack and you're not grateful. But you, through gratitude, can look on what you want. And now the pressure's gone and you realize that you can really have it. And it's a good thing. And you start to think about it from what it feels like to have it, not what it feels like not to. Okay. The third thing that might be keeping your door closed is, as I said, maybe your character just isn't quite ready. I want to remind you again, you have to be an inner match for your outer opportunity. You have to be an inner match for your outer opportunity. We talked about how James 1 shows us the process that God is going to use to make you an inner match. He's going to change your character to be a larger stature person, to be stronger, to be the person necessary to receive it. And he's going to do it through circumstances in your life. Don't be surprised when you pray, I want to be a better husband. If God doesn't give you the opportunity to do that through maybe a tough situation with your wife. You think, oh, great, of course, here I'm trying to be a better husband, and now I've got a disagreement to work through. What if God uncovered something for you to work through to give you an opportunity to grow up in your character, to become that better husband, right? So here's the thing that you need to know about preparing your character to receive more, right? We know God's going to use trials. You're going to have to exert patience. He's going to grow your faith in it, and your character is going to become perfect, complete, lacking in nothing, so that you're a perfect fit for it, right? But you need to know this. You've got to become a person worthy of the opportunity, meaning you're the right character fit. And here's some things you got to consider that God's working on in your character, that if you've got these going on in your life, then you're going to really struggle for your character to grow. First, you got to tell the truth. Okay. You have to tell the truth, right? God is a spirit, and spirit of truth. We have got to tell the truth. Okay. At all times. You got to keep your word. Okay. You got to keep your word to others, but you've got to learn to keep your word to yourself, right? You got to learn to have your yea be yea and your nay be nay. That you count the cost of the words you're going to speak, that you really think through, as Proverbs talks about, that you choose your words wisely, that when you commit to something, that you honor that commitment, that when you say you're going to do something, you do. It's amazing. These two little things, just starting to tell the truth, starting to keep your word. These are really at the bottom of a lot of character issues that oftentimes people want to build upon, but you're going to really struggle to build your character upon a bad foundation. And the foundation of character is integrity. And integrity means you're integral, you're integrated all the way through, which means really you're integrated around truth. What you say is what you believe. What you think is what you say, is what you do. Those have to all line up, and those are the basis of your character. And that's the basis of integrity, is truthfulness and thinking, saying, and doing all in alignment. Okay. So you may have some high character leadership skills or salesperson skills or different things, but if you don't have those pieces figured out, then your building is maybe leaning one way or another, and you're building on a crumbling foundation. But it's amazing. You start shoring up those things. And now these other parts of your character, they come right into alignment. And now your gift actually gets stronger because it's on a sure foundation of truth. Okay. And then the other thing that I would say to you, when you're going through the process of changing your character, the 3 keys to prosper that's going to really pull from, that you're going to have to work directly on, is you're going to have to work on your order, putting things in life in order. Oftentimes, if you have weak character, then things in your life are out of order. And it's amazing that though you change your inside and it changes your outside, oftentimes in order to really get momentum going on the inside, you start by working on the outside things. And if you'll start working on the outside things, then this inside can kind of come into balance. So you're going to have to work on your order. And if you can work on putting things in order in your life, outside and inside, character is going to strengthen up. The other thing you want to do is work on key number 3, which is honor, which is part of that integrity thing, which is living a life that's serving other people, right? Where you are pouring out your gift and you're serving others, truly understanding to receive more, I've got to serve more, right? To get more, I've got to give more, okay? You're going to have to work on key number 4, which is yoked. And yoked is about living a life yoked to Christ, where you're allowing God to do the heavy lifting, where you have faith in your life. You're trusting that he's going to do his part as you do yours, okay? And that's going to shore up your character. And that's really what he's working on in your character, that you would walk in agreement with him and you'd allow him to do his part while you do your part, okay? And then finally, you're really going to have to work on 7, which is your thought, and you're really taking those thoughts captive, and being a steward of your thoughts and understanding that thoughts are things, thoughts create things, and thoughts create your world. And so for him to give you more, you're going to have to start thinking in alignment with more. For God to give you something new, you're going to have to start thinking new. Because the same level of thinking that got you here won't get you there. All right. We've got to be a fit here to be a fit out here. So I hope this helped you. I pray that you'll start removing the doorstops, that you'll get in position, that you'll become the inner match for the outer opportunity that you're asking for, and that these doors will start opening for you, that these 7 keys to prosper can start bringing increase into your life.